and I'm going to keep calling the Lions. I called that before Kelce got hurt, but especially with that, I believe he hyperextended his knee in practice, and then what the injury ended up being was a bone bruise, which is very lucky in the sense because I think it's the same sort of thing that would have been like an ACL tear or something, but it is when it doesn't fully. It's the same like action, but doesn't tear. So, but it's still not good. The indications of that are that he wouldn't play, especially this is week one against an against an NFC team, different conference, week one, coming off the Super Bowl. They're looking to go back to back, right? This team is, of course, looking to go back. With Mahomes, as long as they have that Mahomes, Kelce, I mean, Chris Jones not playing, Chris Jones, Corey, they're looking to go back to back, right? So it would not make sense unless he's really feeling 100% to play Kelce. And then if they're not playing Kelce, did they add much in the offseason? I can't remember. Did they maybe like an offensive tackle or like, but they didn't, it's not like, oh, yes, of course, the Chiefs just got this massive weapon outside on offense. Of course, they have Mahomes, but now they have two of their biggest stars are not playing. They're not going to have Mahomes play like this is the Super Bowl, right? They're not going to have Mahomes scrambling out, really fighting fighting through contact if he's running. They do not want him hurt because if he's hurt, then like everyone's gone. They're in the race for the number one pick. I mean, probably not still have Andy Reid, so on, but like that.
The season's blown up if they lose.
The season's blown up. Yeah. So they do not want, obviously, to lose Mahomes, but they don't want to hurt. They don't want to risk this bone bruise. He could be back in 2 weeks, maybe. He could be back in a month. He maybe even could play this week. It might be more a play through the pain, but I just don't think it would be worth risking it, especially week one. So I don't think they're going to play him. And then I think the Lions added a lot this offseason. Of course, they had an upward trajectory, a lot of hype towards the end of last season. But I think they made some huge additions with, 4 top 50 picks? Might have been like 4 top 40 picks or something. It was something crazy. But like they added a bunch in the draft. They added big in free agency, I think it was, with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They add a bunch of this team on both sides of the ball. And I think you're going to throw in the fact that Kelce's going to be hurt. It's going to be just Mahomes, who, of course, is good enough to do it. If this was in the Super Bowl, it might be still tough to pick against the Chiefs. But it's not. Mahomes is not going to be playing as hard, and he shouldn't be in week one of the season with 2 of their three best players out. So I think the Lions are going to win. I think it'll be close. I at least don't think the Chiefs will cover the spread of, I think, 6.5. I think if they do win, I think it will be by a field goal, that sort of range. But
sure.
But I'm confident. I think the Lions will win, at least cover the spread.
So I would hope that they cover the spread because that means it's going to be a close game. And I would like to see that, obviously. But I gotta say that I disagree, and I'm going to break it down to the 2-star players, their likelihood to play, because I would say even if neither of them play, which is definitely a possibility, it's more likely than both of them playing. I would say that even if neither of them play, I still might like Kansas City, but I think there's a good chance Travis Kelce plays, more so than not. He's currently listed as questionable, which would mean a 50-50 go rate usually if they're stated as questionable. So, it's kind of a toss-up, it seems, right now. But I will say that Travis Kelce has not missed a start since his rookie season for injury. That was 10 years ago.
Wow.
All right. So, and it's not like he hasn't been banged up before. It's not like, he's an NFL player, right? So we know that this guy will play through certain injuries. He's missed time during games before, and I believe that like he sat for buys and stuff, or he sat for like week 17s and stuff, but he hasn't missed a start because of injury. And I think he might just play through this one as well. It might make sense if he gets shut down from the top, so I understand that, but I know he's going to want to play. So I think there's a good shot he plays. And you know what? I don't think Jones is going to play because obviously the deal hasn't gotten done yet, and I don't think that they're going to put him in with 0 time of practice. He hasn't been at training camp. So let's not be crazy about that, but I will say with the Bosa deal just going through, some people say Chris Jones is the top of the market, but I think Bosa's probably the top of the market, in my opinion at least. And you know what? If he sets the market, maybe Chris Jones can either get where he's at, a little bit above, a little bit below, whatever they might be arguing about. between the the GM there and Jones himself. Maybe the Bosa deal is an anchor for them to say, okay, this is what you should
Mm,
be getting paid. We're going to make the deal happen. And it might not be that he plays Thursday, but it might be that he's there with the team. Uh,
mm,
and it's more of a morale thing for everybody to
yeah.
say, you know what, we got the Jones deal done. He's not playing, but he's with us. And with
Yeah.
Mahomes, maybe Kelce playing, you know,
That's true.
it adds a certain vibe and energy to the team that
Mm,
otherwise, right now, it's kind of like, hey, one of our best players, he's not buying in. And oh,
mm,
or the team, they can't get a deal done with him. They can't get him. They can't get him paid. Or am I going to get paid? What's going on? Right? It's just not good energy. This could
yeah.
push it over the top. So I am going to stick with the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs. And frankly, even if neither of them play, I still like the Chiefs. I like Mahomes. And frankly, I'd like to see him just kind of go kind of free and loose and, make some stars out of these receivers that we don't think that there's a number one receiver on that team, or, think Kadarius Toney or something. Like, I think he could have some flashes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you
So
could.
we'll see. But I personally like Kansas City, although I did like some of the arguments you were making about the Lions, and I am slightly concerned about Eric Bieniemy being gone. But I will say Andy Reid has called the plays the entire time he's been there. I'm pretty sure.
I
So,
think so,
or I
yeah.
think he maybe passed it off to Eric Bieniemy last year, but Andy Reid can call plays.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. That's a little bit more concerning, but I mean Andy Reid's an offensive guy, so that's what I got. I like the
Yeah.
Chiefs.
Yeah, I think those are some good points, especially yeah. I mean the fact that Kelsey, especially because this is an injury that people can play through. It's not, and I don't think there's not. I don't think a risk of like re-aggravating something. The extra injury risk, like because it's really a play through the pain thing, and
Sure.
painkillers, so on. The real sort of injury risk would be, well, if it's still hurt, like if it's painful, you're going to be playing around it, and if you're playing around it, you might be making yourself vulnerable to other things. Like that, the thing, it's especially if he's the type of guy who will consistently play through injuries, these sort of lighter injuries. I think he'll at least get some snaps. Whether he's, I mean, like I think he'll be starting. Whether he's gonna, be, of course, I don't think he'd be at full capacity. But that is a good point that he might be in that. And combining that with, if imagine they do get the Chris Jones deal done one of these next couple of days. Actually, I mean the game's tomorrow, but imagine they get the Chris Jones deal done tomorrow before the game. Team
Sure.
hears about it in the locker room before the game, and Travis Kelce's going to be there playing through injury. That's a real storybook sort of moment, right? If the morale boosting sort of moment,
Right.
that
Right.
that would be tough. The sort of morale booster, even if they're still not going to have Kelsey at 100% and Chris Jones not playing, it still will have the morale. I think would be a pretty huge thing,
And
which
like
is
you said, I
interesting.
mean, it might not be that Kelsey's out there playing all the snaps. It's an excellent point, but he might be out there for some of them, and he might not be 100%. What if he's 80%? He's probably at 80% still one of the best tight ends in the league. And if he's going to be drawing double teams out there, if that's what the Lions
Mm,
decide that they want to
yeah,
do defensively, then he's going to draw the double teams if he's on the field, regardless if he's at 80 or
yeah,
100%,
yeah.
which opens up things in the for the wide receivers in the passing game and for Mahomes. So yeah, we'll see. Obviously, we're all rooting for a close game, and certainly a fun one. And like we talked about, I think it was definitely intentional by the NFL to put two predominantly better offensive teams to open up the season
Mm,
to get people excited to get the teams scoring. But